we live in a society, and the meaning of society means people coming together to form, unity, or to unite,
Mm,
to have, a similar or same culture, same status, and all that. That is why we have a word community. All right, we
yeah.
commune, we live together. All right, so that togetherness is indispensable. You can't do without it. So as a student, you cannot isolate yourself from the industry, from the world, from reality. That is why you need to build this smart networking I'm talking about.
Hey, Entreleaders. Happy Wednesday, and welcome to the 61st episode of the Leaders Lab podcast. If you are new here, I am your host, Dr. Charity C. Campbell, better known as Dr. C, and I am a doctor of management, a world-class millennial global leader, an academic professional, and multi-passionate entreleader. Here in the Leaders Lab, we talk all things entrepreneurship, entreleadership, communications, and balance as a millennial professional. And today, as we continue our series on unlocking your academic potential, I am so honored and thrilled to have back in the lab with us no stranger. He is definitely no stranger to the Leaders Lab. He is a dear friend and colleague of mine. And we're going to be talking about how to network for success while still in your college years. And please, please, please do me a favor and put your hands together and welcome our dear friend, Dr. Frank Larbi, back to the lab. Welcome back to the Leaders Lab, sir. It's so good to see you.
Yeah, Dr. Charity, it's so good to see you here. Thank you for
Thank
inviting
you
me.
for being here.
All
Yeah,
right.
thank you for being here. It's been a while since you've been in the lab here.
Yeah, I thought you abandoned me, but I'm glad you came back again.
You really went there, huh? You said that on camera. Okay, all right. All right, I see how you're doing there. You said that on camera. Okay. He's just joking, everyone. He's just joking. Uh, but anyway, so of course, if you're like, well, who is he? I haven't seen him before. He has been on the Leaders Lab, I think about 3 or 4 times now. And I will drop in the description box and in the show notes, I will drop a link to all of our past episodes together. I told him earlier this week that I considered him to be my expert in higher education. And I know when I told him that he was like, "What? Really? Like me?" But you guys know if you've been listening to the Leaders Lab, especially in season 1, Dr. Larby came and dropped so many gems, so much knowledge on how you can um, get all of the necessary experience pre-doctor, like pre-PhD in front of your name. And it was just some things that really blew my mind as well. So of course we had to bring him back in the lab because, sir, you are the educational leadership expert here.
Well, it's my honor. Really, thank you for acknowledging that.
Well, anyways, diving right into our episode today, it is no secret that networking is important for success in any field. But when it comes to academia, networking can be the key to unlocking your potential. And today, that's what we want to talk about because it can help you achieve your success. And I remember in one of our previous episodes last season, Dr. Larber, you talked about how you created opportunities as a student. You created opportunities at
Mhm.
different conferences and people that you met. And so I'm like, hey, that's how you're supposed to network. So why is networking important for academics, like while you're still in school right now?
All right, thank you for that question. And I like the theme of this episode, unlocking your academic potential. As students, the first impression that comes to our mind as students is, okay, I want to pass my exams, I want to get the good grades, I want to get a beautiful transcript, graduate, get the
Yeah.
good job, and all that. But one important thing we miss out of the equation is just what you've mentioned, networking. Networking is very important here. And coming to your question, you know, I will always, we are in a smart world now, in a technological world, in information age. So I like the
Mhm.
word smart in everything I say or I do. So I will use smart networking, all right, not just networking, because when you talk about network, what does it even mean at all? Like, it means connection, all right, connecting with people, probably within your area of studies or within your area of industry or anything of that sort. But should you connect or network with anyone at all, you need to do a strategic and smart networking, so that
Mm.
at the end of the day, it's going to benefit you. It's gonna, and it's not like you trying to be a gold digger. I mean, sorry for my word, but it's not like you're trying to be a gold digger, or you're trying to, sneak yourself to get some advantages and benefits from other people and all that. No, it's not about that. All right. We live in a society, and the meaning of society means people coming together to form, unity, or to unite,
Mm.
to have, a similar or same culture, same status and all that. That is why we have a word community. All right, we
Yeah.
commune, we live together. All right, so that togetherness is indispensable. You can't do without it. So as a student, you cannot isolate yourself from the industry, from the world, from reality. That is why you need to build this smart networking I'm talking about. And it is very important because it opens your eyes to see the world, to see the future, to see reality outside there. I'm a lecturer in a university, very renowned university, South China Normal University, located in
Mm.
Guangzhou, southern
Mhm.
part of China. I have taught, for so many years now, more than 10 years. But in a
Wow.
university, I've worked with a university for about 4 years now.
Okay.
And I state this unapologetically, that whatever you study in the classroom, whatever your teachers teach you in a classroom, whatever pamphlet or books your teacher recommends you to read in the classroom, might not be applicable out there. Most of the things you do in a classroom are theoretical. They have no
Mm.
pushing to your future successors. And last time I said it on your show, and I asked you a simple question. Most of the things you're doing now in your life as Dr. Charity, did you study
Mhm.
them in the classroom? Definitely
Mm-mm.
no. So you are
Yeah.
doing huge percentage of things now that you didn't study in the classroom. So if you
Right.
limit yourself in the classroom, thinking that, okay, I'm going to get a good grade, yes, of course you get a good grade. I want to bid for my transcript with 90s and 80s. Yes, of course you get a 90s and 80, but you come out jobless. You come out seeking for job, you come out frustrated. Your education is
Wow.
going to be a burden to you. I use the word burden because you feel like you have the certificate, but you are not producing enough, you're not being productive. Therefore, the certificate becomes a boundary. It becomes,
Wow.
sorry, it becomes, what word did I use?
You said
Uh,
boundary.
sorry, burden, not boundary. It becomes a
A
burden
burden.
to
Okay.
you. Feel, oh, I've gained this sort of knowledge. I have this beautiful transcript. I have to be doing a lot, but I'm not doing that much. So it becomes a burden. You're always burdened. All right. So that is why I always tell my students, get out of the classroom, go into the
Mm.
world, connect yourself, all right, so that you understand how the world is being ruled and run. You sit in the
Mm.
classroom, you don't know anything about the world, you don't know what is going on outside. You go outside and you are shocked. Oh, and you find out like everything you learn in the classroom is just junk. None of them is
Yeah.
applicable. All right.
Wow.
So networking helps you to open your eyes, to understand reality, to understand the world, to be able to know where you fit in.
Mhm.
And probably most of us study something we are not applying. Most of the things I study, uh, uh, I'm teaching a course this semester in my university. And, it's a very new course, and sometimes I recall some of the things I learned when I was in basic school, in physics, in
Mhm.
biology, in chemistry. Like I recall them, I recall them. I'm like, oh, I'm able to remember all these things after more than 20 years. Yes, but
Right.
I'm not using them at all. Right? I'm
Wow.
not using them. So most of the things we learn in the classroom, we don't use them. All right. So
Yeah.
when you network, it helps you open your mind to know what is applicable, what theories are applicable in the world, and how can you apply them, how can you understand the application process. It opens up your mind. So networking, it's indispensable. We can't do and live without it. So we should know. And as I think, as we are going deeper into this conversation, I will touch base on most of these things: how to build a profitable and a smart networking system.
Yeah, because that was one of the things that I was going to ask, of course. But first, before that, I mean, how do you, especially for people who are introverts, there's some students who they are naturally they're introverted people. They may not be the type of people. They may actually get nervous about having to be around other people, and or they're not as outgoing and different things like that. So how can they build relationships with professionals, like how, and also too, I wonder if you can touch a little bit on, because I know you have developed a way to have a healthy balance of relationships with your students, in higher education. But for some, and I see people crossing the lines all the time when we talk about relationships between educator and those who are being educated. But how can you, for students who are wondering, how can I build a healthy relationship with my professor, or with my teacher, so that I can begin to network that way? How can they do that? Like, what's some tips that you have for them, maybe?
Okay, thank you for your question. These are very good questions. I think your question is two in one, but I'll try
Yes.
to, yeah, yeah, I'll try to, yeah, answer them all. But everything I'm saying here is not theoretical. It's not things I heard from someone talking, about it on YouTube or something I've read
Right.
and reciting. I don't do that
Yeah.
at all. Like, no, everything I'm talking about, it's practical. It's my life, something that has helped me, something that I've lived, I've tried and tested, and has been very good for me. So that is what I'm recommending. And so I'm sharing, it's like, I'm sharing my personal story, right?
Of course.
So you ask a question: introverted students.
Mm,
Let me tell you about myself a little bit.
okay.
uh even though it's not part of the question, but yeah, I was highly introverted student when I was in basic school, from primary, junior high school, senior high school. Like, the worst form of introverted person I've ever met is myself. All right. So to the point that I can't even raise up my hands and answer question in the classroom because I was so shy. Not that I don't know. I know, like, all my classmates will be raising up their hands, answering questions, talking, to each other, talking to teachers during break time. Like, they'll be playing football outside, they'll be tapping each other, playing all sort of, how kids play, right? And all
Hmm.
this, like, I'll be just quiet, walking alone, just alone. Go grab my meat pie or something, and I'll be alone, like, sitting in the classroom alone, like. And not that people didn't want to come talk to me, they come talk to me, but I don't give them that chance. I don't open the door for them.
Mm,
So because of that attitude, no one wanted to talk to me. So I had only one friend at the time. Now he's a
yes, I
doctor,
can
medical
tell.
doctor. Yeah, that was terrible, actually. So
Yeah.
yeah, so growing up, in senior high school, I was changing a little bit, but the situation wasn't that different, And I took a lot of inspiration from my brother because he was very outspoken, doing all sort of
Mm,
leadership stuff. So I told myself at the time, I had a dream about my life. I knew what I wanted to become. I had something, like, wanted to become something. What I wanted to become was totally opposite to what I was at that present time. So I took opportunity
wow.
to learn that how can I change. I don't like I also want to play with people. I want to be outspoken. I want to go out. I want to, mingle with friends. I want to boys, like, yeah. And those days, like 20 years, somewhere how 20 years ago, like, hip hop culture was really high, and in Africa and Ghana, like, the guys were getting much into, like, the way they dress with the big jeans and all that. I mean, I wanted to do some to put on some swag. Right. So I'm like, how can I change? So After senior high school, I took up a challenge on myself. I in my
Mm,
church, I volunteered to be a youth leader. I, did so many things, stage performances, drama, and all that. And that gave me that boldness, that courage to overcome that timidity, that fear in public speaking. We call it glossophobia. That
mm,
weird attitude, right? So when I went to college, I was totally a different person altogether.
that's good.
To the point that I contested in campus politics. I was the favorite, especially for the girls. Yeah, but yeah, and all that. I was a leader in my church on campus denomination, and by God's grace, I did a lot of stuff. So it was a deliberate thing, an intentional thing I did to change myself, and that is what I
Mm,
am today. All right.
mhm,
So if you are being introvert or shy or timid, it's not an excuse. All right. You have to know what you want to become. Because come on, we are getting smart people in the world every day. Every single day, smart people are being born. Competition is being tightened up. So you're gonna hide under your shell of shyness and timidity? Come on, then you're
mm,
gonna be poor for the rest of your life. You're not gonna be noticed. You're not gonna do anything remarkable in the world. And don't be so selfish to yourself that I just need a simple job, get money to buy clothes, food, and I'll be okay. No, what is the importance of you in the world? What is the
yeah,
relevance of your existence in the world? Right? What you have to tell yourself, you have to make something remarkable, something to that people will look up to you, all right, and change their lives for better. So excuse, I mean, shyness and the introvert you talked about, all these things are not an excuse. If you are that type of student, I was the worst form of introvert student, right? But I have changed. I challenged myself. I put myself in a certain condition. I volunteered. It wasn't easy. It was not easy for me, but because of what I wanted to become in future, I said, no, I have to put myself in this situation. So when I became a student, I took up leadership roles because I know that will build my confidence. That will build my public speaking skills. That will build my confidence of networking, of talking to professors, of talking to my
mm,
classmates and all other people. So these roles sharpened me. All right. I learned tough things from this role. And last time I said on your show, like in my class, I'm not saying this to brag, but I'm one of the students, or if not the only student who traveled outside China a lot for international conferences with my own money. Do you think it's easy to write a research, to travel, go stand in front of renowned professors, globally recognized, to present your research as a student? The first thing that comes even in your mind is they are better than you. They do better researches than you. What do you have on the table to share with them? That thought alone can even put certain fear in you to drop this idea. But I didn't care the high level professors I was going to present you. I didn't care. I didn't look. What I care is I'm going to make an impact. I'm going to build my connections. All right. So I put ideas together, came out with researches, and traveled. All right, to stand on international platforms to present my ideas, and all these things were training services for me. So that is how you have to see it. Create opportunities for yourself, challenge yourself, seek for ways that you can connect. All right, seek for there are a lot. No one is going to bring opportunities on your table. You have to search for them. You have to
yeah,
ask for them. All right, so introvert is not an excuse. You may be introverted like I was, but now I have changed totally. When I even tell some of my friends I'm introvert, they don't even believe it. They say, you, Frank? No, 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 no. You don't lie to us. They don't even believe it. But that's how I was. So you can change by doing.
mhm,
Challenge yourself, know what you want to become in future, and you have to be aware of the competition going out there, of the smart people coming into the world every single day. I'm not talking about those who have been born today. I'm talking about
right.
people who are trying to become smarter every single day.
It's
All
like the
right.
people who are waking up to their
Exactly.
own, like the people who
Many
are
people,
waking up to their potential.
right. you know like coronavirus came, and many people were sleeping, but coronavirus came, it woke them up. Come on, you can
Absolutely.
people are making billions out of coronavirus. All right.
Yeah.
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 This young guy who's a TikToker, I think he's in Italy. I forgot his name. This guy who I think many people
Oh,
maybe
yeah. The guy from Senegal. He's from
yeah, from
Senegal, but he's just
Senegal.
like, yeah.
He never called. I've never heard his voice. Just sign and
Yeah.
stuff. He started this
Yeah.
during coronavirus because he was kicked out from a job, right? Because of
Wow.
layout and all that. He was kicked out from a job during the
Wow.
time of coronavirus. All right. And now it has woken him up. He has like over 1 million subscribers and he's making millions out
Yeah.
of these things he does, comedy things he does on TikTok. So people are
Yeah.
waking up every single day. So are you going to sit down and
I
just
like that.
give yourself an excuse that I'm an introvert, I'm shy, I'm timid? Come on, drop it.
I
21st
like that.
century. You don't have that kind
I
of
like that.
those words should not be existing. 21st century. Come on, wake up. Right? It's not an
Yeah.
excuse. Go out there and build connections. And you ask a question: how can you build connection? This is how I did it. In my school, going back, even before my master, when I was in college, you have to put yourself in a state where your teachers will like you. They'll rather come to you. So back in college, like, I was before college, I was not talking in class. Don't forget that.
Mhm.
But in college,
Mhm.
because I challenged myself and I stayed home for 3 years before going to college, because
Mm.
natural, like in Ghana at my time, when you graduate from the SS or when you leave SS, you have to stay home for 1 year. That is normal for everybody. But I stayed home
Okay.
for 2 years because the program I got accountancy, but I told you I don't remember if I said on your show that my father and my brother called me to, you know, counsel me. That in Ghana, many people are doing administration, accountancy, and stuff, and they finish, they don't get jobs to do, and all that. So
Mm.
they advised me, and I saw that, well, that's really good. So I had to change the program, but that was very late, so I had to wait for another year. So that
Oh,
made
wow.
me stay for 3 years. So during this period and the advice was really good. I think
Yeah.
God
Yeah.
threw them to me because I see myself better now than if I had studied accounting, because I've never, when I was growing up, I never saw myself as an accountant, right? But
Yeah.
because, back home, we don't have that solid counseling system. They will counsel you to really know what you want to do in future and all that. Like, you follow the trend. Oh, my friends are
Yeah.
choosing administration, accounting, that. Like, you follow
Yeah.
that kind of, yeah. But it was really godly advice my parents and my brother gave me. So, anyways, during a period of 3 years, I stayed home. I took up challenge, went to teach, applied for a job in a private school. I got it. So all these things built my confidence, as I've said earlier on. And when I went to college, I can now freely talk in classroom. I can now express my ideas because I've been doing this for a couple of years now. So I've mastered it. So, anytime I go to classroom, I read before I go, and I always want to challenge. I also want to ask questions. I always want to bring us some argument. And the teachers like that. So due to
Mm.
that, most of the teachers saw me, oh, Frank is smart. But it's not that I was smart. I mean, I just wanted, there's a general statement that practice makes perfect,
Mm.
but I want to requote it. Practice makes better, not perfect, right?
Yeah.
Practice makes better. So I wanted to practice continuously so that I will always be better, improving every single day. So I brought this attitude to the classroom, answering questions, asking questions, making argument. And most of the teachers like me for that because they want students like that. So as a
Mm.
result of that, after class, I go to them, sir, I like, and sometimes they call me, we talk as friends, right? So
Mm.
that is, I was able to build that sort of, networking with some of the teachers, to the point that when I contested as student representative president, and I said before that campus politics back home in Ghana is real politics. It's not like buying candies and toffees. No, it's real
Yeah.
politics. So
Okay.
when I contested for student presidency, even most of these teachers were backing me, And I lost because the teachers were supporting me, because the students thought, oh, because I have support of the teachers, I will team up with the teachers and make rules, laws against students, right? So, the students voted against me, and the teachers were like, no way. So what I'm trying to say is, due to my activeness in a classroom, it paved the way for me to connect with my teachers easily. As I said, most of the time they even come to me. And when there's any
Mm.
leadership position, even after school, after back home, like you do 2 years on campus and a year out, right? So when you go out, they have to appoint a leader. They appointed me. I didn't contest. The teachers just appointed me. Just
Mhm.
because of what they've seen in me. And during my master's and PhD in Beijing, it's the same process. Most of the teachers don't have time because of research and other networking things, all right? So you have to run after them. You have to go to them. Sometimes if I want to get a wisdom or a knowledge from a teacher, they will never share in a classroom. I just create a story, send an email. Sir, I've encountered this problem. I just create a situation. All right.
Mhm.
It might be true. It might not be true. Come on, you got to be smart. I just create a situation. So, okay, Frank, I'm in my office this day, this time. Come see me. I go see them. We talk. We talk for more than an hour, right? And whilst we're talking, I'm learning something. I'm learning sense. I'm learning wisdom from them. All right. And afterwards, you build friendship. So when there's
Yeah.
anything, I tell them, oh, sir, Prof, I want to attend international conference. When there's any opportunity, please let me know. So they will be sending you a lot of links and a lot of opportunities, right? And
Mhm.
back when I was doing my master's, I volunteered a lot. So I'm telling you how to build connections. I mean,
Yeah.
that comes naturally. I
So building
volunteered a
that type of relationship.
Yeah, so volunteering is also very important. I mean, we are busy with studies and all that, but I've always say again and again that you need to practice what you need to create a reality, around yourself. So back when I was doing my master's, everyone was busy working, studying, and all that. I'm like, no, I'm going to volunteer myself. So I volunteered myself as at the time we call it Ministry of Culture. I wanted to be the president of all international students. My some of my students voted against me because they said I'm doing African politics, meaning that I'm giving too much promises I cannot fulfill. So they didn't really trust my manifesto. So, anyways, they gave me Ministry of Culture and
Mhm.
uh, events and all that. So I was organizing events and so many cultural activities back on campus. And what I did differently was every event I do, I send a formal invitation to all the professors. That is what I'm doing. We need them. All right. So that also gave me an opportunity to get close to them. And because I'm sending an application to them as a minister in charge of culture, they respect it, they regard it, they take my contact, and most of them show up. All right. And
Mm.
when they come, I engage them. We dance together, we eat together, we have fun together. So I entertain them. And when you do that, you are registering yourself in their brains. All right.
You're
So
making yourself memorable.
yeah, memorable. So all these things, I thought no one was watching me, but there were a lot of professors, teachers, and even students who were admiring the things I was doing. So when I finished my masters, it was so easy for me to get scholarship for PhD because they already know me
Mm.
academically. I
Mhm.
mean, I was I was, on top there. I'm not bragging, but yeah, my transcript will prove it. And in all of that football, I didn't know how. In Ghana, I never played football, right? But when I came to China, I have to learn how to play football aggressively, right? So every single weekend, I was practicing to the point that they called me on in a international student team. So I was playing in the international students team and also in the faculty of education team, right? Yeah,
Okay.
I learned how to play. I didn't know how to dance. I have to learn how to dance. So I volunteer in a dancing group. So every year we have a huge mega performance and they invite TV stations and all that. I mean, we call it Beijing Night. I was always on the stage performing, dancing. They loved it. All right. I also volunteered in many other things. things I never did before. I have to learn because
Yeah.
of working, because
Yeah.
of networking. But we had so many other friends. I call, hey, come on, let's do this. Oh, I don't know how to do it, and they give that excuse, and no one knew them. Even they graduated. No, if you mention their name to any of the teachers, oh, was this person also in the school? But when you mention my
Wow.
name, most of the teachers know me. Oh,
Yeah.
Frank Larbi, yeah, that guy, because of all the volunteer work I did. You see my pictures, football club, you see my pictures in there, this, you see my picture in there. So how can you forget me? So this is
Yeah.
how I was able to build a smart networking system. All right.
You
And through this,
volunteered, you went to events, you made sure that you were where they were.
exactly where they were.
Mm.
And could you believe that in my university, when there's international conference, every international conference, I was there. So
Wow.
these renowned professors from my university will always see me at international conference. And when they see a student present, you definitely want to come and listen to what the student is saying in the classroom. They will come and they will see that, oh, I'm talking about the assignment they gave to me,
Wow.
Yeah. So I took every assignment very serious because most of the conferences I said, it's not like I was doing a mega research somewhere. It's an assignment, the homework the teachers give us. That's what I was
Hmm.
presenting on international stages because
Wow.
I didn't want to waste my time to do assignment which would go nowhere. All right.
Yeah.
So I try to do them well to get a grade and also to present to the world. All right. So this is how, as a student, you will be able to thrive academically. All right. You do things you've never done before, volunteer, learn new things.
Hmm.
Come out from your bubbles. All right.
Yeah.
Now, this is what I am now. I'm enjoying my work, and I'm getting connection every now and then. All right. But sometimes you can respond to all sort of connections you are getting, right? But it has been helpful to me. Okay. Yeah, it's not only about your academics, it's not only other things you learn in a classroom. I have so many students who are smarter than me in a classroom, but
Mhm.
ask yourself, what are they doing now? I don't like comparison, but sometimes it's clear when you do things differently from others. The results is very clear, right? So I don't know whoever is listening to you, try as much as possible. You may be busy, and telling you what, all the things I'm talking about, volunteering, studying, all of that, I was also working because I needed the money, I needed the cash, right?
Yeah.
So I was also doing some part-time jobs to get the money.
Mm.
So when you call me to go to club, I don't have time for the club thing, bro. I don't have the time for that because
Yeah.
I'm volunteering. I'm doing so many things. So the little time I get, I'm learning. I'm reading, right? Yeah, and that has had effect on my sleeping, my body clock because back in school, I sleep late all the time, 2 3 a.m., and that has had effect on me even as at now, right? I can't change. I have tried, but it's not possible. It's not easy because of all the things I was doing. So I will not have time to go smoke somewhere, to go drink with friends, to go party and all that. All those time I'll put them together and do something that will bring good memories, that will
Yeah.
will create a memorable event that will help me to build successful connections. I don't know if I've talked much about this, but I don't know if I've answered your question in between.
Yeah, so you basically yeah, you said a lot, but I think people can follow. So you basically said that in terms of networking, you made sure that your what you did for networking um as well. I guess with most students, they focus so much on socializing with peers all the time, more so than on a professional level. But you took your socializing time that you could have had like just peer to peer, and you maximized it by making yourself available to your professors. So basically, you built that connection or relationships up instead of just focusing so much laterally, which is great for networking. I mean, you even mentioned I didn't even have to ask you this question, but you talked about making yourself available for events, different events and things that were happening and that were going on. So obviously, that too was a great way for you to build those networking connections. And I'm sure our audience appreciates you sharing your personal story about how you went from being an introvert to really making yourself come out of your comfort zone so you could unlock your academic potential. So if the audience doesn't appreciate it, let me say I appreciate it for them. But yeah, I really like the fact that you said you made sure that you were basically, you made yourself unforgettable, to where you were where professors were, you reached out to them, you contacted them, like, I mean, all of these things, you made sure that they remembered your name. And even from your master's going into your doctorate. And I think a lot of times we fail to realize just how important those connections are that we make in our master's program when we're trying to go over into a doctoral program. Those connections are their treasure.
Right. Yeah.
Their
Yeah, they
treasure.
are. Yeah, because
So
for example, sorry, for example, if you are continuing in the same university, it's you have to bear in mind that application it's very competitive, right? You're not the only one applying. So to
yes.
give them that impression that, oh, you did well in masters, let's give him the opportunity to study PhD, means you have to do something remarkable. You have to impress
Yeah.
them. Yeah.
I like that. I like that a lot. So, for all of the students who are in your master's program right now, regardless of your age, regardless of your demographic or location, nationality, or whatever, listen, it is important. It is important to make yourself positively unforgettable. Don't be that student that makes yourself negatively unforgettable. The trouble student who, like, the teacher's like, yeah, I remember them. Oh gosh, they did not study well. They did. You don't want to be that type of student, right? You want to be the type of student where you want to be. I mean, I guess I could say this, but you kind of want to be the type of example that Dr. Larbi said that he was. You make yourself available. You are, uh, you know, you go after professors, and this is also another way to find a mentor. Mentoring, finding a mentor, an academic mentor, is a great way to network. I have had some academic mentors who literally changed my life because of the direction that they helped me to go in. And kind of like, even though they were his parents and his family, but like Dr. Larbi was sharing, he could have went into the wrong profession. But because of that, parental mentorship, they put him in the right. And now, because of that, he's on the Leaders Lab and he's doing so many things in leadership that he may not have done if he went into accounting. So, have you had any other types of mentors, Dr. Larbi, throughout your educational experience that they kind of guided you in the right direction?
Yeah, mentors. Um, yeah, I did. Of course, I did. Like my some of my teachers, my lecturers, my supervisors, some of them were, I took them as my mentors.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, um, we live in this age of in this epoch of globalization. Everyone is busy trying to make ends meet, right? Trying to do something remarkable. So no one is
Yeah.
gonna come to you and say, yeah, hey, come here. I want to be your mentor. Are you okay with that?
Right. Right.
Do that, right?
Right.
You have to go to them, right? And
Exactly.
you don't go to them and tell them, hello, sir, hello, ma'am. I want you to be my mentor. We don't do that. Who does that?
No.
I mean, you
Mm-mm.
can do that depending on the relationship you have with the person, but ideally, this is how I did it. Before I applied for my master's, my brother was studying at university. Very smart guy. He was the overall best international student at the time.
Mhm.
So at that time, School of Education had PhD for international student, but he studied development studies. Like
Okay.
his background is architecture, but he needed to understand some realities of the world. So he studied development study. Later on, studied PhD for architecture in Australia. But yeah. So he had he built a network with a professor in education. So they did research together and all that. So the professor, because of how smart he is, the professor offered him the opportunity to study PhD in School of Education, but he denied it because he's not from educational background and he wanted to do PhD in architecture. But he said, I have a brother who majored in education, so I can connect him instead. And the professor said, okay, yeah, right. So that's the history of
What?
you know.
Yeah, shout out to your brother. Okay, other Dr. Larbi. Yes, that's awesome.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's good
And
to have
that's,
some siblings,
you know what, you just brought up a very, very valid point. Sometimes we overlook our family and our friends for support. Sometimes we overlook them for networking opportunities because, especially if it's an older sibling, like sometimes we think, oh, I don't want to bother them, or, there's this age
Right.
gap, or, if it's so, but man, that is so key. That's actually one of the things that I did want to mention is that, when you're trying to build a network of people, when you're trying to build a network that you can call upon, please don't think that your family cannot help. There are some, there are some who, just like Dr. Larbi's brother, they can set you up with the right person. Like they can, I mean, that's powerful. That's truly powerful.
And you know what? One thing that even confirmed that this is, the will of God for me to be in this profession is, even after graduating from college in Ghana, having a job, I still wanted to divert to business administration. So before my
Wow.
brother, I had bought a form, paid a partial school fees in a private university to study human resource management. You know,
Mm.
yeah, to divert from education to business administration. So when my brother brought in this, I'm like, but I've paid fees here. Are you sure? I mean, at that time, I was in a huge, great dilemma. Like I was really thinking. So now I had to quit the school, the administration school in Ghana, and focus on
Hmm.
application to China. I'm like, what if I don't get admission? It means I've wasted money and year. So like, I'm like, bro, are you sure I'm gonna get it?
Right.
Worry. He knew what he has done, so he was 100%, confident that I'll get it. And
Okay.
yeah, by God's grace, I got admission, and I came here, to Beijing, and the professor whom he worked with,
Hmm.
I went to him to greet him and say, "Sir, I'm Frank Martin's, my brother's. He's Martin's brother." And, oh, cool, great. So I'm like, he has already built a connection, my brother. So he may have some sort of connection already. So let me continue with the connection. So
Yeah.
the first month of we are all new students. All of us were new students, new
Hmm.
in China, new in the university. No one knew any professor. We didn't know any professor. But I was like,
Hmm.
he was very young professor over there with full of connections and hardworking professor. So I'm like,
Hmm.
sir, can you be my supervisor? It's like, let me think about it. And after a few minutes, he was like, okay, yeah, sure.
He had already made up in his mind that he was probably going to like mentor you because of the connection previously made.
Exactly. So I
Wow.
didn't wait for him to, forget about the connection he had with my brother. Immediately, I'm like, sir, let's continue with the connection. Let's continue with the family
Wow.
reunion. So
Yeah.
I was the first student to have a supervisor in my class. I was the
Wow.
first. So when my students were struggling to get supervisors, I was relaxed. I'm like, I mean, like they were like, Labi, I wish a supervisor woman. I'm like, don't worry. I mean, I'm fixed.
Yeah. I'm
So,
good. I'm set. I got mine.
yeah. So those who were close to me were like, oh, he had a connection in this university. So they felt like I had. So those who were very close to me, they knew I had a very strong, tight connection because
Hmm.
the teacher who was in charge of scholarships in my, I don't want to mention the name of it. I don't know what I've
Yeah.
said, but
Don't,
my
don't.
university is the best university for, oh, I know. Okay, the teacher who is who was in charge of the scholarships and student international students application and all that. Before she was promoted to that level, she was I forgot her office, but she was occupying one of the huge positions in my brother's school at a time when my brother was studying that university, in the that's that I said the School of Development Studies. So that teacher was one of the big women over there, right?
Okay.
So my brother established a cordial relationship with her,
Okay.
right? So she was like her body, they were moving together and all that. So
Mm-hmm.
when I came, she already knew me. All right. So
Okay.
I continue with that connection as well. So I was always going to her, inviting her for programs and all that. So most of
Mm-hmm.
my colleagues knew that I was closer to this, and she's in charge of scholarships. If anyone needs
Wow.
scholarship, you have to pass through this woman.
Wow.
All right. I mean, through her, I brought few people to China, due to that connection, because I can go to her straight away. I can talk to her straight away. I can meet her on the street, call her on the phone straight away. Many students couldn't do that. So if you're able to do that,
Yeah.
of course, you get a lot of help. And so I had to.
So the connection that you made with her actually created connections from it actually created opportunities for other people back in your country to be able to
Exactly.
come here too.
Right.
Wow. Do you
Right.
see why it's so important to network and make these connections? Because it's not just about you, it's about helping other people. I'm sure that was major for a lot of people that you referred and were able to help get here. Dr.
Right.
Larbi, that is
And,
awesome.
and that connection helped me to get my PhD, because my professor, my
Wow.
supervisor, was the second in command in my school.
Mhm.
All right. And this woman was in charge of networks. I mean, sorry, scholarships.
Scholarships,
So
right?
when
Yeah.
I was applying my PhD, the government, the Chinese government, issued a policy that if you're an international student, you cannot graduate from masters and go straight to your PhD. You have to go home for at least a year before you can come back. Because of the tight competition. So they wanted to give other students also some sort of chances. You're right.
Oh,
So that was
wow.
my years. I'm like, how can I overcome this? So I didn't apply for the full scholarship for my PhD. I applied for partial scholarship because I knew I'm out of the system. I'm out of the
Okay.
full scholarship system. So after 1 month of the deadline for full scholarship, I submitted my documents to this woman. And I said, ma'am, I'm applying for partial scholarship for PhD. She looked at me, said, Frank, why partial scholarship? I'm like, because of the new policy, I'm not eligible to apply for the full scholarship. And it's already 1 month after the deadline. She said, Frank, I'm quoting her, direct quotation. She said, Frank, you are special. Go and apply for the full scholarship. Charity. At that point in time, like I didn't know where I passed. I ran to my room that night. I didn't sleep. The next morning,
Listen, I would have been running too. I would have been like, okay, I'll be back tomorrow. I'll be right back. Like, I'll be back in a few hours.
the next morning, I submitted my documents. And in my school, as I said, my supervisor is a second in command. He said, Frank,
Mm.
don't worry. I'll help you to get the scholarship. And there's another professor who was also in charge of recruitment in my school. So this is how it works in my university. You apply to the school. If the school scrutinizes your documents and everything, and like you qualify, they'll forward your application to the graduate level, and it goes from there.
Mm.
So at the school level, the professor who was in charge of recruitment knew me, so I had a tight connection with her too. All right.
Mm.
So my supervisor is the second in command, and the one who is in charge of recruitment is, I have connection with her too. So she told me, and what she said, Frank, the school is so proud of you, so we will help you to get a full scholarship. That's what she also said. All right. So I'm getting promises from the top key people. What should I worry about? All right. So that is how the networking worked. And you talked about
Network people.
mentorship. That is how it worked too. Look, my classmates were struggling to get their their master thesis topic. I didn't struggle because from the first day I met this professor, he was working on a project. And I said,
Mm,
sir, can I be part of this project? He said, sure. So I did some literature review and stuff for him, and through that, I got interested. I've already done a lot of work. Why should I choose a new
yeah.
topic? So I told him, sir, can I use this as my thesis? Come on, go ahead, do it. So my thesis was so easy. I mean, my PhD thesis, the same man, the same professor, I worked with him, and how I got my topic too is the same way. He asked me to teach a master class on his behalf. At the time, I was first year PhD candidate, first year PhD student. He had I don't know whether you're aware of Erasmus Mundus scholarship. It's an European
Mm,
scholarship. So it's an European scholarship they award to international students. So they have three
okay.
campuses: Austria, and in China, my university is a host. Is the only host
Okay.
for such a group. And I think Austria. I think the next one is Germany. It's so Austria, Germany,
Mm,
and China. So they
okay.
came to China, and my supervisor was in charge. He was in charge of them. So he asked me to teach a class,
Mm,
internationalization of higher education. I've never heard that word before at the time. So during the summer, at the time, uh, the that was the summer vacation. After the summer vacation, I will be enrolled in the first semester of my PhD. So I wasn't even a PhD yet, right? So
wow.
during the summer vacation, I was preparing, reading a lot of articles on what is this internationalization of higher education, preparing
Yeah.
lecture notes and all that to teach, and they are master students. I mean, they are. I mean, look, a whole European scholarship system. You know that they are very smart.
Yeah.
So I prepared. So through my preparation and all that, I fell in love with that internationalization of higher education. So after I taught the class, I said, "Sir, I'm so interested in this topic. Can I use for my PhD dissertation?" He said, "Okay, go ahead." So right before my PhD program, I even had my thesis at the back of my brain. All right, and you know what? All the assignments I did from year one till I finished my PhD were
Was
around
for your
this.
thesis.
Exactly. So I didn't have to struggle to get my thesis done. So when people say, "Oh, I struggle, thesis writing is not easy," blah 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 blah, I'm like, chill. My thesis
Ladies
was
and gentlemen, he is literally giving you the secret. He is giving you this is what I'm talking about when I say he is my higher educational leadership expert. He is it's not just like he said, it's not because it's something that he researched on YouTube, Google. Like he's just walking you through the steps that he took from his masters all the way to Dr. Larbi. He's telling you this is genius. Okay, all from networking. It all started from the connections, but he had to make sure that he didn't drop the ball with the connections. And I think that's what we do sometimes is that we maybe we feel like we're bugging the mentor too much or the teacher too much, so we take a step back and be like, well, I don't want to get on their nerves. I don't want to always trust me. If you're the type of like the guy if you have a teacher like me or like Dr. Larbi, we'll let you know if you're starting to get on our nerves. I mean, that's just the type of you know people we are. We'll be like, okay, hon, now listen. Now I done talked to you 4 times today. That's enough. Okay, let's talk tomorrow or next week. But if you don't, you got to show that initiative. Like take that initiative and continue on with it. And when someone makes a connection for you, don't make them look bad by messing up the connection. Can you think about or like imagine if Dr. Larby would have, you know, been like, well, this is who my brother put me with, but I'm not really interested in his topic. I mean, like I feel like what did that do for your pride? I mean, because there are so many people right now who are stuck in their PhD program, still trying to get their thesis approved because they are so adamant about the topic that they want to, write about, instead of just being humble and submitting to whatever the the mentor, or the chair is saying. So how was that for you? And I know we're going to wrap this up soon, but I do want to know this, because like, you are giving people the secret to getting in and out of school as quickly as possible, so you can so you can do all the things that you really want to do once you have that title doctor. But how was that for you? Like, did you go in saying, this is a topic I really want to write about, but then you were like, well, I can get out quicker if I just kind of go with the flow? Or what was it?
Well, thank you. I had no idea about what to do when I
Okay.
entered my master program. I had no idea, even PhD as well. I had no idea.
Oh, okay.
But one thing is, you have to be versatile. That
Mm,
is why you become a researcher. If you are doing
yes.
your PhD, you know that you're going to be a researcher, because PhD is all
Mhm.
about research, even masters
Yeah.
as well. So you have to be, so you don't have to be, well, we all have things we are interested in. All right.
Mhm,
Yeah,
mhm.
I'm interested in studying A. I'm interested in one. I mean, I had interest in what I wanted to study, to contribute to problem solving. But I remember what one thing one of my American professors told me. He said, "You are doing PhD." Because I was thinking and worrying too much about publication and all that. I said, "Don't worry. I mean, for now, focus on how you can better your thesis. Don't think about
Mm,
publication. Publications and other researches will come after you graduate. All right. So whatever you are, look. Let me see. Let me tell the smart thing I did. I told you my professor was working on when I came to during my masters. I told you he was already working on a topic, and I told you whether I can join the team. That was um, educational aid to Africa, like Chinese educational aid to Africa,
okay.
right? So I'm like, oh, I'm an African. I'm interested in this. So I had
Yeah.
no idea about it. Okay, now I asked myself, this is what he's been researching on for some time now, and he has a team for that. If I
Mm,
fall to this team, or if I use this as my thesis, he has already published papers on that. Good. He's expert in that. Great. So
mhm.
there's no way he's going to tell me, no, I don't like this topic. No, this topic is bad. No, 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 no. There's no way he's going to say anything bad about a topic.
Wow.
That's one thing. The second thing, if I'm stuck, he's going to be able to help me.
Yeah.
All right. If I don't have things to read, he'll be able to recommend to me. Oh, I have this paper. I wrote this. Read. Okay. And because he was a top professor, he had
Mhm.
connections with the government. If I need any information from the government, confidential information, he will be able to help me. Even if they're in
Wow.
Chinese, though, he has a lot of Chinese students, he can ask any of them to help translate for me.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
like, if I fall into this, I'll be helped from the beginning to the end. But if I do something different, something new, something he's not really aware of, how can I get help from
Yeah.
him? I have to
Yeah.
struggle myself. So that is smart thing I did. All right. I had something I'm interested in, that is, teaching to improve students' critical thinking skills. All right.
Yeah.
That is what I was interested in. So I'm like, okay, Frank, this is a very important topic. Put it aside. Follow your supervisor. I followed him. I got my master's. And do you believe that before I even finished my PhD, I published a paper in what I'm interested in? I didn't
Wow.
use it as my thesis, but I'm still
Uh-huh.
interested in. But so I published a paper in that. All right. So you can always do what you are interested in. But if you don't want to be stuck, come on. Who has time to use 5 or 6 years for PhD? Who has time to do that?
I
Come on,
don't.
man,
I
make
didn't
money.
and I don't. Like,
No.
no.
So if your supervisor is not getting along with you because you've chosen a topic he or she is not interested in, or he or she cannot follow, come on, be versatile, adjust yourself a little bit
Yeah.
so that they can help you, they can support you to graduate. When you finish, you can publish any paper. Now, after I finished, right, I am seeing, because whatever you do as your PhD or in your PhD thesis, you are seen as an expert in that area. So
True.
in my career, I'm seen as an expert in internationalization of higher education. All
Mhm.
right. However, I have a lot of publication, not even within internationalization of higher education. Even though I have significant number of publication within this area, I'm still doing more research on that. But as I said, you have to be versatile. You have to be all around. I'm still doing researches in other areas that, as an educationalist, is of interest, and I
Mm-hmm.
can, due to my research, I can contribute, to knowledge or to the awareness of the problem in order to, mitigate or to solve the problem, right?
Mm-hmm.
So be adjustable so that you wouldn't face any sort of hassles. And we have sometimes some supervisors are stubborn, they don't
Yeah.
they don't actually open up or have time to support students. I always get this sort of, sorry, I always get this sort of comment. Students always coming to me, and my supervisor doesn't have time for me. They don't even reply my messages and that. Yeah, we have that kind of stubborn supervisors, all right. But what
Mm-hmm.
you have to do, he is not the only professor in the world. Talk to other teachers
That's
for
true.
help. Talk to other experts, talk to other seniors for help.
Mm-hmm.
They will help support you, go through it. All right. If your supervisor is always, come on, I mean, no matter how stubborn they are, they may not be that wicked to make you stuck in your PhD program for the rest of your life, or they may not
Right.
deliberately fail unless something is going on, and that calls for deliverance. But other than that, you know, try to push yourself. Don't get relaxed because they are not responding to you. Many students get relaxed. Oh, my supervisor is not responding to me, so they also get
Yeah.
relaxed. I mean, when you get
Yeah.
relaxed, you're gonna fail, right? Keep
Yeah.
on pushing, keep on seeking help from other sources. So when they see that you can thrive without them,
Oh,
they will,
now.
yeah, they will sit up. So, oh, the
Yeah.
student is really improving even without me. They, they
Mm-hmm.
will sit up to come to do something to get a glory afterwards. All
Mm-hmm.
right.
Yeah.
So something I don't know whether to share it, but I don't know whether I have time to we have time to share it, but something happened, during my PhD program. And yeah, so you have to push. You have to
Yeah.
push. Like what
Push.
I said, like, let me give you everything I'm saying is practical. Like, in the process of my PhD, this same professor got very busy, so he was serving other university and my university concurrently. So he was very busy. He wasn't replying
Mm.
my message, all that. I'm like, if I follow this trend, there's no way I'm going to graduate within 3 years. So I called him and said, sir, I know you're very busy. You don't really reply my messages and all that, but I need help. I need someone to guide me. So, because of your busyness, could you please recommend me? So we had at that time we had about 4 or 5 foreign professors in my university from UK, Canada, US.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So there was this UK professor I was really cool with. So I'm like, can you? So, and Canada, the Canadian professor was very young, so like I was really cool with. So can you recommend me to this Canadian professor? And he said the Canadian professor is not a full professor yet, so he cannot supervise a PhD candidate. I'm like, okay, what about the professor from UK? And he said,
Mm-hmm.
okay, cool. And they were friends. So
Okay.
when I said that, he easily called him and linked me to him. So
Oh, wow.
technically, I moved from him to the UK professor, and it worked.
Yeah.
So if I had sat down and said, "Oh, my professor is busy. He's not replying my message," blah 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 blah, I'll still be in the university, struggling with my PhD thesis. All right,
Probably today. Probably still today. But so
right?
basically you used your network to connect to to another person who
Exactly.
could help you
And
out. So you didn't
and
just
this
give up.
Yeah, so this UK, that's why initially I talked about networking and mentorship. This UK professor, he's a distinguished professor, very renowned, Professor Emeritus.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm like, this is the most distinguished in the whole university. So how can I get close to him? So when I was doing my master's, organizing cultural events and programs, I was inviting him, inviting him. All right. So even to the point that during my PhD, when I had no time to organize programs, like at the time I had handed over my position to another person. So he saw
Mm.
me one day, Frank, I really miss you. We're not organizing program anymore. And as I said, I'm not holding that position again. He goes, oh, my wife really like your program and all that. So he
Oh,
might,
wow.
all right. So he already had a good impression about me. And I attended
Mm,
all his classes. I made a lot of arguments. So he knew me personally. So when
mhm.
I shifted to him, it's or when my old professor talked to him, it was so easy for him to accept me because he knew
Yeah,
Frank. He
yeah.
knew who I was, as a student.
Mhm.
All right. So that's one thing about the networking. I said if he didn't know me, he was like, oh, who is he? Like I don't know him. It will be
Right,
hard to accept me.
right.
At the time, he also had a lot of students under him. All right. So that was an additional work,
Wow.
and who would do that?
Right,
Who did right? That's an additional work. But because he knew me personally, he accepted me, and he was always there for me. All right.
wow.
And here I am. All right. And another thing is, of his status, he was always on the defense panel. He was always on defense panel. So if he's my supervisor and he's on my panel, is he going to criticize me? No.
You are good to go. You are good to go. You are good to go.
So you
Wow.
have to work smart. You have to create smart networking. You have to
Yeah,
read the system. I always tell people,
yeah,
read the system. When you read and understand the system, you can know how you will move along with it. But if you
yeah,
don't know the system, if you don't understand the system, you will always struggle. I have
yeah,
students have always calling me even from other universities. How do you do this? How do you do that? Know the system.
yeah.
Understand the system. So when you understand it, you know how to beat the system.
I love it. I love it. Thank you so much, Dr. Larbi, for once again giving us so many gems. I really hope that you all were taking notes. I tell you, when you come to the lab, make sure you take notes, especially when we have our guests here, because you just never know what they are going to share with you that is going to change your life if you apply them. And so, again, Dr. Frank Larbi, thank you so much for being in the lab with us on today. Please tell us how, if someone wants to get in contact with you, how can they connect with you outside of the Leaders Lab podcast?
All right. So if you want to connect me professionally, my email address is lof45@hotmail.com. Love45@hotmail.com professionally. I'm also into bodybuilding. All right. So if you want to contact me for some bodybuilding, weightlifting advice or anything, you can also follow my Instagram. Um, what's my Instagram name? Oh my word, I always forget this. Dr. Love, yeah, at dr.lof, Dr. Love, and I have you can also follow me on my website, Lofric Institute. So www.lofric.net. Lofric is LOFRIC. So www.lofric.net. So yeah, these are my, and on Facebook too. I'm not very regular there, but yeah, you can also connect me on Facebook with my name, Frank Larbi. Okain is OKAI, yeah, or Frank Larbi. Yeah, you see me there. Mhm.
Excellent. Thank you so much. And also you guys can check the link in the show notes or the description box below and click on it, and you will find a beautiful biography of Dr. Frank Larbi along with his photo and all of his social networks where you can connect with him. Listen, I do want to say thank you also for listening and for tuning into the Leaders Lab podcast on today. I cannot express my gratitude enough. It humbles me to know that you tune in every single week to learn from me and my very special guest like Dr. Frank Larbi. And I hope that you found our content valuable on today as we talked about how to unlock your academic potential, networking for success. I really hope that it has helped you or will help you in your journey to unlocking your academic potential and becoming a better leader. And if you haven't done so already, please don't forget to subscribe to the Leaders Lab podcast, download today's episode, rate, comment, and share so we can continue reaching millennial entre leaders all across the globe. And of course, I invite you to connect with me everywhere on social media with the handle at Dr. Charity TV. And on Facebook, it is at Dr. Charity TV page. If you have any questions or would like to be a guest on the Leaders Lab podcast, you can send an email to theleaderslab@drcharitytv.com and someone will respond in a timely manner. All right, guys, that's all that we have for you in the lab one today. Thanks so much for tuning in, and I will see you next week in the lab.
Thank you for listening to the Leaders Lab podcast. Visit our website at www.drcharitytv.com.